Oh, Facebook, what's going on? How are you today? It's time for the Facebook Live. That went pretty well. I was hiding my phone in the refrigerator, and I thought that would be the neat way to open up day 24 of 30 Ways and 30 Days. My name is Steve Melia, and if you haven't joined me over the last 3 weeks or so, I have been going over different ideas, different topics, different ways that you can have a more productive, rewarding, fulfilling life, designing your own life, if you will. And so today I'm going to talk about a topic that, like all 23 so far, are really near and dear to me. 30 ways that I believe if you're building a business or really just looking to build a life, 30 ways that can help you be more successful. And so today I'm going to talk about building strong relationships. And I use the word relate, and I spelled it out when I hashtagged it, REALATE, relationships, because with anybody you want to be able to relate to them, whether it's somebody you work with or a family member or a friend or even somebody that you might vote for. We're only really going to do business with people that we know, like, and trust, but also people that treat us well. I think one of the best things that I ever heard was that people will forget just about everything that we say, but they'll always remember how we made them feel, right? And think about somebody maybe in your past that was just gracious to you. And to me, being a Yankees fan, a big sports fan, and even a music fan and stuff, when I meet somebody that's famous, if you will, you always hope that they don't ruin the image, that they're going to be nice to you, right? And hopefully, if I've met any of you that are watching today, I always practice what I preach. Let's see who else we got on. We got Michael Hill. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Great topic. I got Tim Hardy. I got Susan McCarley, Linda, Alessandra, Holly. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. And today we're talking about building strong relationships. And I'll be the first to say, just like any of these 24 topics that we've gone over, I can always get better at this. In fact, I probably do these things. That's my neighbor's dog right there. You heard the barking in the background, because I need to hear these things as much as anybody else. So calling in today, or videoing today from Charleston, South Carolina, where I make my home, and I'm headed to Minneapolis, Minnesota this weekend to do some business. I'm excited about that, but I just saw that the temperature is like about 8 degrees as of 2 days ago, so a little nervous about that, but we'll make the best of that situation. See, Carla and Derek have joined as well. And if you look at the first two words, relationship, or the first two letters of the word relationship, R-E, it's also the first two letters of the word resources. And I think one of the best resources that you can have, let's say you're starting a new business, because I think that for a lot of people that are watching this, that's probably one area of life that we're trying to do better in. We're trying to, earn more money or be more productive, be more successful, whether it be in our current career, job, or business as what. And your relationships that you have with people is one of your most important resources. When I first got involved at age 23 or so in the network marketing direct sales industry, they told you to make a list. And I'll tell you, at the time, I didn't want to make a list. I said, make a list of everybody that you know, people that you know, like, and trust. And I was like, man, my list isn't very long. I went to college. There was a few people on my list from college. Where I went to high school, there was a few people on my list from high school. But I tell you, my list wasn't very short. Now, my brother was very short. My brother Mike, on the other hand, he was 42 at the time. He had a longer list of people that he had professional, and personal relationships with. And so my brother Mike, he had a lot of resources because he had a lot of relationships. And I really started to see that a lot of the relationships that I had built to that point were going to be great resources for me, not necessarily because they were going to be joining me or doing whatever business that I was going to be doing or selling what I was going to be selling, but they were going to be resources for different reasons. Number one, for referrals. There goes that letter R-E again, but also for support, for emotional support, for encouragement. One of the things that I always encourage people in my business to do is to get together with people that they have strongest relationships with and say to them, hey, would it be okay if I shared with you what I'm doing, just in case you run into somebody that might be looking for something, or just in case you'd want to help me, achieve my goals in my business. I don't necessarily know if it would be for you, but would you be willing to do that? And people that you have a strong relationship will be a great resource for you. Let's talk a little bit more about that. First of all, there's certain people in our lives that make, whether it be our family members or our neighbors or our coworkers and stuff like that. And the people that you're closest with, you want to be faithful to those people. The founder of a company that I work with now, Harlan C. Stonecipher, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, never walk past an old friend to shake hands with a new friend, right? And what he was saying is like, be faithful to the people that were faithful to you. One of the Amelia family as an organization, we have a direct selling organization. It's myself and my two business partners, Mike and Kim. And the three of us, if you look at some of the leaders that we have within our own business, most of them have been with us for 20 years. Now, 20 years is a very long time, right? In fact, how long have you been with your current job, or your current business, or your current career? Chances are it hasn't been that long. And why do we do? How have we been able to do that? I think just treating people right, treating people with respect. There goes that R-E word again. Treating people the way that they want to be treated. There's an old acronym WIIFM. What's in it for me? Treat people the way that they want to be treated, but also be concerned about other people's needs. And I've got a great friend of mine right now who is going through, I wouldn't say he's going through a hard time, but many of you know Chip Humphrey. His mom is down in a Florida nursing home, and she's in her 90s, and bless her heart, I've known her for years. She's down to the end. It's her last final days or so. And now, so when I called Chip to talk about some of his business goals, we talk just about every day. I can't just launch in and say, hey, how's your numbers? How's your recruits? How's your sales? I have to stop. And it's not that hard because he's my friend, and I can feel what he feels. I'm empathetic to his situation. So I say, how's your mom doing today? Man, I'm with her right now, or I'm going to go see her, and stuff like that. So be cognizant of what people are going through. Sometimes we're dealing with somebody, we walk away from a situation, we go, man, that didn't feel right, or I wonder why they weren't really listening to me. And chances are they probably just had something else on their minds. Okay, so let's take a little break here. Hey, Sharanda, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Guillermo, Liz, Greg, nice to see you. Pam, Derek as well. Greg got your book. Thank you, Greg. You're welcome. And there's more where that come from. If anybody needs a holiday present or any time of the year, there's nothing. I've got a goal. If you read the book, you'll find out that I have a goal to sell 1 million copies of 162. We're at about 6,000 right now, so I've got a lot of work to do. So if anybody would like to order my book, you can go to the 162guy.com. It makes a great present, whether somebody's a sports fan or somebody just has a dream and they're looking to fulfill it. I think it's just a great example. So, Greg, thank you. And Carla says being human, and that's really what it's all about, being yourself. And I said something at the beginning, and I'll say it again, is that people do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust. They know, they like, and they trust. And sometimes when you just begin a business relationship with somebody, or like, for instance, we had our house cleaned today by somebody that had never cleaned the house before, and after they left, the ladies were nice. 3 ladies came and they left, and after they left, I was like, you know what, I don't think they really did a good job. I told them they did a good job, but I didn't really look around as much as I should have. The more I looked around, there was dust everywhere. So very kindly, and I was being friendly. I called the owner of the company, and they're going to send another crew out and stuff like that. And that was a good move on their part. I wasn't confrontational. She wasn't confrontational. Usually when people are confrontational, it doesn't do a lot to build relationships. So one of the things I've been talking about in a lot of episodes is letting go of your ego and just relaxing a little bit and going with the flow. Something I talked about during our gratitude on Thanksgiving is a 3-step process to having a great life. And that's your first thought of the day should be, I'm great. What am I grateful for? Think of one thing that you're grateful for. And then the whole day, as things come and they go, as problems arise, as obstacles arise, as good things, as bad things happen, go with the flow, baby. And at the very end of the day, right as your brain starts to shut off for the night, think of something that you're grateful for. I called a friend of mine yesterday, Bill Geither, and I said, Bill, and it's usually just a standard question. I said, Bill, how you doing? And he said, man, I got to tell you, buddy, he's got a southern accent. Although he's from Maryland, so I'm not sure he got that southern accent, but he lives in Gastonia, North Carolina now. I said, Bill, how you doing? I said, man, I got to tell you, I'm great. I am so full of gratitude for everything that's going on in my life, my business, my family. And most people don't talk to each other like that, so it's so refreshing. There goes the R-E word again, refreshing to have associations like that feel open enough to be able to express themselves. Because, in most places, I don't know, people might even make fun of other people for saying something like that, but not me. I love having a phone call like that where people are truly grateful for everything that they have and everything that they're experiencing. So if you know Bill, give him a shout out. Let him know that I was talking about him. I see Brittany Kemp. Hey, Brittany, nice to see you. Twayan, nice to see you as well. My friend Matt. Matt, what about those New York Yankees, baby? I think we should pick up Machado next. And maybe Bryce Harper the year after that. These Yankees are going to be very good for a very long time. Hey guys, I've been thinking about doing my 162 tour again in 2018. Give me a like or give me a love if you think that sounds like a crazy idea, right? Some of you know I'm the world record holder right now at 176 straight games. Well, right now I'm not getting a lot of likes here. Right now I have a current streak of 8 going, which means I went to 8 playoff games. So if I went to opening day, that would be 9. If I did all 162 at that point, it would be somewhere. It would be exactly 170. So if we make the playoffs, I could break the record next year. But that's in other news. I just want to see who was paying attention. It's hard not to, though. If you're a Yankees fan and you see what's going on with the team, very, very exciting. So, back to what I was talking about when we first got started in business and I was making a list of people that I had relationships with or what I call resources. One of my greatest resources, even though it was a guy that wasn't in the business with us, but he coached me, he supported me, and introduced us to a lot of people, was the guy by the name of John Milton Fogg. Now, if you've ever read the book, Greatest Network in the World, that's a book that John wrote in the mid-'90s when we were first getting started. And although the character in the book, he says, is not based after him, he's got a lot of the same skills. Great listener, great relationship builder, and our success in business, and my family and I have been very blessed to do some great things with our company, Legal Shield. It's all about relationships. Get this straight. I have never, ever, ever been the top salesman in my company, in my state, in my city, ever. Right? Ever, ever, ever. I've never been the top recruiter in my company, in my state, or in my city, ever, ever, ever. Now, there's been spurts where I've went out there and really turned it up and turned it on. But the glue that holds a business together are the people, how the people interact, the culture that's created. You'll notice some of the greatest companies this year over the Christmas holidays, you can see the camaraderie that goes on, how people care for each other. And I'm telling you, it starts at the top. It starts at the top and it goes all the way through everybody in an organization. Our CEO right now, Jeff Bell, is a classic example. When he first got started in our company about 3.5 years ago, he made it his business to know every single leader in the company. When he walked up to you and he said, Matt Curry, it's nice to meet you. Bill Geithner, it's nice to meet you. No name tag. They had never met before. He just went through like our yearbooks of the different people or whatever and learned the names. And I'm telling you, I talked a few weeks ago about how to win friends and influence people. And I talked to, I'm not sure which day it was, about day 20, where I talked about making new friends and life is a contact sport. And I talked about, using people's first names and speaking of their interests and stuff like that. This all goes hand in hand, right? The glue, right, that puts everything together is how you treat people in your organization. Do people know you, like you, and trust you? And so that's my message today, is to build relationships, okay? There's a book, as we're talking about the New York Yankees, there's a book about the Yankees closer, Mariano Rivera, and I'm trying to think of the name. I think it might have been just called The Closer. But if you Google it, you can find it. Awesome book, whether you're a sports fan or not a sports fan. And it really just talked about how he grew up in Panama and how he eventually became one of the stars with the New York Yankees. Well, he had a term that he used, and it's called never big league anybody. Now, when Mariano first came over to the United States, he did not speak one word of English, and he had a really hard time with that, with communicating and related to the other players and the fans and the media, but he really worked on being able to speak English well. And one of his baseball friends said, hey, let's pretend and this is while he's still in the minor league, let's pretend it's the end of the World Series and you've just won. So they used to practice his acceptance speeches, and there a few years later he was the MVP of the World Series. But they had a thing that they would do, is that they would never big league anybody. What does that mean? It means whenever a fan or a clubhouse employee or just anybody in the world came up and asked him for an autograph or asked him for a picture or just said, hey, great game, or just said whatever, is they would always treat every single person with respect. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. Treat people with respect. And people remember that. And that's why when he traveled around the last year of his career, in fact, the book, My Last 42, I followed him around for his last 42 games. He got standing ovations everywhere he went. Why? Because he treated people well. He treated people with respect. And so this is probably something that all of us already do anyway, but it's something that we can probably all do a little bit better, right? We're probably all great at it, but there's something that you can work on is staying in touch with the people that are already your relationships and not just calling them when you need something. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it. But, like for me, for instance, I run a sales organization. Maybe it's the end of the month or maybe a big announcement's made. And I see Carla here. I might call Carla and say, hey, Carla, what's your goal for this month? And da-da-da. But the reality is we don't know what's going on in that other person's world or that other person's life. You got to slow down and find out what they're going through right now before you sort of launch into that, if that makes sense. Glenda, nice to see you. That's what I love. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Glenda says that's what she loves about me. I'm the same way. And I promise you, hey, Sarah Holt, nice to see you. What you see is what you get. I've got my Dead and Company t-shirt. I don't try to impress people, in any way that I would normally try to impress people and be myself. I am who I am, on stage, off stage, backstage, with people, not with people. And it's so much easier to just do that than try to act and be somebody that you're not. So be yourself. If people are great with that, fantastic. The ones that don't like you for it, you probably wouldn't have been friends anyway. So, again, the topic on this is building relationships. Don't big league somebody. Don't big league somebody. In my business, it might even seem strange, but sometimes we'll get asked for a lot of pictures, or maybe once in a while we have this book called Profiles of Success, and people ask us for autograph. And listen, it's a little weird for me that people come up and ask for my autograph, especially sometimes I'll be with like my friends outside of the business and people will come up and my friends might make fun of me a little bit and stuff like that. But at the same time, the person that asked me, I'm going to treat that person with respect every single time, because everybody deserves to be treated with respect. So as you're building your business, remember, you can't build a big business without building big relationships. And so this has been day 24. If you like the information that I shared with you today, please, I ask that you share it with a friend. One of my goals is to get this message out to 30,000 people over a 30-day period. 30,000 people, that's about 1,000 views a day. And I haven't announced it yet, but I am going to be coming up, and I'm not going to do it the exact day after this, but I am going to be coming up with 30 days, a series, and I'm going to be picking different topics. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I've already got my first 30-30 planned out. I'm just coming up with the 30 tips, and it's for a certain kind of a business. So 30 ways, 30 days in a certain type of business. So if you like that, hit love. If you like that, hit like. If you are interested. Sue Cooney, nice to see you. Bobby, hope you're well. Karen, Therese, hope you're awesome. And guys, it's just been my pleasure to share some information here with you today. It's the holiday season. Here's what I meant to say. I got off track a little bit. Is as you're, say I'm calling, and rather than just calling Carla, as the example I used before, and asking her how many sales she's at or what's going on with her business, sometimes it's just nice to call somebody and have no reason at all to call them. And in fact, let them know that, right? Say, hey, listen, I don't really have an agenda at all today. I was just calling to say, hey, see how you're doing. And the more, the more successful, or the busier you are, and you do that, people are really going to appreciate that. So just call somebody and say, hey, I was just thinking of you, seeing how you're doing, right? And that always certainly can go a long way. And then doing other stuff, and I don't necessarily do every one of these things, but I see other people do them, is handwritten notes. You send somebody a handwritten card today, or a thank you card. You can tell somebody that's well raised, especially a child, if a child is filling out thank you cards and giving them to whoever gives them a present, or a teacher or somebody like that, you can tell they're very well raised. Many of you know that last year, because I've told you a lot, this is how you know, I interviewed Brett Boone. Brett is the brother, right, the all-star, four-time all-star brother of our current New York Yankees manager, Aaron Boone. So last year we had Brett Boone on the podcast, The 162 Experience. So by the way, if you haven't seen The 162 Experience, last year we did 30 episodes. They're on my website, The 162 Guy. You can watch all of them. They're super cool. We will be launching a season 2 very, very soon here after that. But Brett that day his son was playing in a baseball game, a high school baseball game, and he said, yeah, it's just down in La Jolla where I was living at the time. If you want to come check it out. And A, I didn't have anything to do that afternoon, and B, if I did, I had to cancel it because to hang out with Brett Boone and watch his kid play baseball I thought was super cool. So I sat there with him, and man, he was just over, here's a guy that played, 12 major league seasons and was just a stud, and I got to sit next to him in the stands a little bit while and just chat and stuff like that. And then at the end, I said, hey, I gotta run. I gotta make a couple conference calls. And he goes, man, thanks for coming. Later that night, and that's the whole point I'm telling the story, is that later that night, about 8 o'clock that night, I see my cell phone ringing, and it's Brett Boone. I'm like, right? I still get a little starstruck. And so I'm like, hello. And he's like, hey, buddy, just wanted to thank you for coming out. He goes, you're a class guy. Come out and watch my kid play. It meant a lot to me. And I hung up the phone, and man, I thought, and here I am, a year and a half later, still talking about it because it made a big impact on me. What did it take him to do? It took him an extra 30 to 60 seconds out of his life, a little extra energy to call and pick up the phone, and now I'm going to be saying positive things about that dude for the rest of my life because he deserves it. So treat people with respect, not only do the right thing, but go the extra mile, build relationships, make people feel special. If I haven't done that with you, I certainly will do better in 2018 and 2019. Again, these are 30 ways and in 30 days that we can all improve our life, right? Me being included. So I read over these things, and I know I'm going to be doing these 30 things. So thank you so much. Steve Melia, 30 ways, 30 days. Hope everybody is having a great holiday season. God bless everybody, and we'll see you down the road. Bye-bye for now.